How you doing? Let me give us a few seconds here. I don't usually go live in this manner, so give me a minute to set my camera like the way I need it. It's not doing what I want it to do, so give it a second here. I have it all set, and then it's not set. I don't know what happened. So there we go. Okay, let me just double check everything. Just a second. Okay, looks like I'm about ready. Hey, how you doing? Okay, so I am here today to talk about a situation I had with Airbnb, right? It was quite raggedy, quite traumatic, and it's still causing me problems to this day. And this happened back in May, right? But it led to a snowball effect of problems for me. Now, I have been using um, Airbnb. Well, before I even get into that, hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, Disabled Diva Travels. My name is Eve Clark. Here on my channel, I talk about being a disabled traveler and around the world. I talk about slow travel. Sometimes I talk about small business. And I talk a lot about worldwide shenanigans that go down during my travels with my husband and myself. So, if that's what you want to hear about, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. So, now that I've got that all the way, I want to share with you all a crazy experience that I had recently with an Airbnb host in Morocco. The story had a bunch of red flags, a sketchy host, a horrible representative for that host, and a lot of false accusations that turned out that should have been the end of a stressful trip that I had had. I won't call it stressful, let's call it an energetic, fast paced trip that I had in Morocco that covered a lot of the country. It was a group trip. And I was continuing on with some of my travels. So we hung out in Morocco for a few extra days before we continued on to Egypt and Rwanda. So we booked ourselves a Airbnb and in Morocco. And the first red flag was um, it's on the first floor, right? I booked a 2 bedroom, 1 bath on the first floor. It turned out that their first floor is really the second floor, right? And we had lots. If you know anything about me and my husband, I've showed our luggage before. We travel with lots of luggage because we're often gone for 6 months to a year at a time, right? So in this particular situation, and you see me looking down because I actually have notes on my laptop because this is a very important situation and I really don't want this to happen to anybody else. So, anyway, getting back to this story. Like I said, after 2 weeks of us being on the group trip, we booked this Airbnb. And as we had checked in, the first red flag was the elevator didn't work. Okay, no big deal. I didn't have much I needed to do. I just could stay at the Airbnb until it was time to go, which I did. I stayed in there until the night before it was time to go. That was no big problem for me at all, right? Um, uh, Myself, like I said, It was 30 stairs to the top, and I have multiple sclerosis, and I cannot be going up and down those stairs like that. And I was exhausted because it was after our trip. So moving forward, not a big deal. The lady that the owner sent to meet us to give us the keys to let us in, she even helped us bring our luggage up. And between her, our driver, my husband, and my sister in law, who was with us, right, we got all the luggage upstairs. And then she showed us around the apartment. And at the end, she brought out a contract. And I was like, "What's this?" And she was like, "Oh, you need to sign that." And I was like, "I don't think so." Um, I looked quickly. I brought up the rental in my Airbnb profile. I looked at it quickly, didn't see anything that said there was a contract. So I called Airbnb on speakerphone for her to hear it, right? And Airbnb said, "Hey, if it's not in the profile, then you don't need to sign it." They said, "Hold on, let's check." They put me on hold. They checked. They say, "No, she didn't have it in her rental information, her listing, so you don't need to sign it." I said, "No problem. Thank you. Bye." Hung up. I told the lady, "Hey, you heard him. I don't have to sign this. My listing, I mean, my agreement to pay during Airbnb, that's already my contract." She said, "Okay, no problem." Left us with the keys and said, "Call me and let me know when you're going to leave." We figured, okay, no problem. See you later. Not 20 minutes later, red flag number two, we get a call. It's Airbnb. They said, "Hello, Mrs. Clark. It's Airbnb. The owner wants you to leave right now. They said that you are mean to her representative." And I'm like, "Mean? Obviously, you don't know me, because when I'm mean, you gonna know when I'm mean, right?" And I was like, there must be some misunderstanding, because clearly we were not mean to her. I said, they presented me with a rental contract. I said I didn't need to sign it. I called Airbnb on speakerphone in her presence, and you all confirmed that she did not have it listed, that there would be an additional contract that was needed to sign. So therefore, I didn't have to sign it. I told her that. She said, okay, and she left. Where was I mean? And they said, "Okay, no problem. Hold on. We will check with her and get back to you." They put me on hold. They come back and they say, "Never mind, misunderstanding." And I say, "Okay, no problem." We continue on with our continuing on, right? For the rest of the time. Fast forward, that now it's time for us to check out. I hit them with a text message. I hit the owner. We are leaving at 9 a.m., right? This is the day before, right? She says, "No problem." I text the lady, right? Remember the one who claimed I was mean to her? I text her, "Samira, I'm leaving at 9 a.m. So the next day comes, 8 o'clock, we don't hear nothing. 8:15, nothing. 8:30, I'm like, quarter to 9, nothing. And I say, "Hey, we're leaving at 9 o'clock. And she says, "No problem. I'm in a cab. I'm on my way there. I'm around the corner." I was like, "Okay, no problem." So we continued on with the continuum, right? Meanwhile, the driver shows up. The same driver, Saeed, that we have had for the 2 weeks that we've been in Morocco already. He done, put his He-Man on, and he is helping my husband take the luggage downstairs one by one. Now count it. We got 5, 6 bags, me and my husband. My sister-in-law got 3 bags herself, and then we got these miscellaneous bags. So she shows up with a little coffee in hand. Now I'm sitting on the couch, and I say, "Okay, is there anything we need to do before you leave?" She's like, "No, everything's fine." Okay, because again, now keep in mind, in Airbnb, if you haven't rented before, they usually have a list of check-in duties and a list of check-out duties, right? There were none. No check-out duties whatsoever. So I asked her when she got there, "Is there anything you need me to do?" She says, "No." Now, I will admit, I had 6 ketchup packets on the dining room table. She said I didn't need to move them. We had a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken in the fridge with one little lonely piece of chicken. We didn't need to do anything about it. On the counter We had 3 oranges and 1 apple. She said we ain't need to do nothing about it. She'll keep it. We're like, okay, we good. The trash was in the trash bag. There was no instructions on where to take out the trash, but it wasn't overflowing. Right? It was just regular trash in the bag. She said, no, everything's good. I was like, okay, so we're out. We proceed to go to the airport to catch our flight to Egypt. Get to Egypt, see our friends who are waiting for us at yet another Airbnb, right? It's right like in with the locals, right? It's not like downtown, it's really in a local neighborhood. But my homie that lives in Egypt, he met us there. Shout out to Ahmed with Jakarta Tours, Egypt. He your homie if you're ever in Egypt, right? Okay, side note. Anyway, getting back to the story. So, as I mentioned, I'm a handicapped individual, right? I've had multiple sclerosis for 28 years. So I take a lot of meds. I had already taken my night meds. We had laughed and kikied with our med and his friends, his staff. They gone, we finna lay it down. Just as I'm about to lay my head and go night, like Steph Curry did to, the Team USA. You remember that, right? To France, yeah. We was finna go night. Just as I was about to go night, I get a ping on my phone. Now, normally I don't look at it right away because I got friends all over the world. My phone is always going off. But I looked at it. It's Samir. It's the owner for the Airbnb. She has filed a claim against me and is asking for $192 more for damage that I have done. And I was like, I know you lying, and some other choice words, right? So it turns out I couldn't even open up the pictures to what the damage was, but all I knew was I didn't do it. Um, so then I open it up, I answer Airbnb. I'm like, this woman has said I created some damage. I don't care what it is, I didn't do it. I want mediation, arbitration, or whatever, but I deny this claim. I'm not paying for nothing. Then I actually the next day, no, that evening, I was able to talk to Airbnb, give them my side of the story. I had opened up the pictures and I was like, this is some BS. And they were like, okay, we heard your side, so we'll talk to her and then we'll get back to you. The next morning, I open the pictures and I see some foolishness. That's the only thing I can say. It was foolishness. She took the chicken out the refrigerator. She pointed to the ketchup packets that were on the table. They took the bags that were folded up next to the refrigerator, threw them on the floor. They took the trash out the trash can and moved it and put it on the other side of the room. I was like, are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me. And if that ain't enough, they took water and poured it all over the couch. So she claims that they needed a whole extra day and they had to pay for an extra day of cleaning to clean this apartment, and that there is irreparable damage to the marble floor from the water and the couch. I was like, she lied. Now, when she arrived, I was sitting on the couch, right? I'm sitting on the couch. How is the couch I was sitting on when she arrived wet by me? Done that. Then the stuff they took out the fridge. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm thinking this is a slam dunk. There's no way that they're going to ask me to pay for it. But guess what? Airbnb, them fools, was trying to get me to pay for it. And I was like, let me explain something to you. The thickness and the density of that couch, for there to be water that would have soaked down through the cushions to the underlayment, would have needed to be around 5 gallons of water. The marble floor, to do any damage to it, it would have had to be more than 30 gallons of water. Did I mention that I used to be a general contractor? that I used to do finish outs and build buildings and build things like they are claiming I destroyed. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I will say, side note here, I did not have a video of me leaving or entering the apartment because the owner's rep was with us on arrival and with us on departure. I didn't see a need to take a video or pictures like I normally do. My mistake, my bad. Guess what? It'll never happen again. I don't care if the owner of the building is standing right with me. I'm taking videos. So, anyway, um, as I continue this back and forth between Airbnb and the owner, guess what? This woman starts sending me nasty WhatsApp messages saying that I was evil, that I was overweight, and that's why I'm so mad with the world. And that's why I would cause damage to her apartment. And she was done with me and my whole entourage. My entourage and my sister in law, who's a lawyer, and my retired husband, who is 72. He didn't do the damage. I didn't do the damage. This heifer that works for the owner fabricated all of this. So I said, I have a witness that was there to show that the apartment was not in the condition that she claims it was when I left. But before we could even get to the witness, she started sending me these WhatsApp messages. And immediately, I started screenshotting them because guess what? Airbnb decides that no, she can't do that to me. They took her listing down. They denied her claim, right? And I'm thinking it's a done deal, and it's over. Then she deleted the messages. It didn't matter because I had already screenshot them. So now she leaves me a bad review, and I left her a review stating that hey, this owner wasn't. The elevator doesn't work. The owner has a contract that she didn't mention, and she claimed that we caused damage that we didn't. That's what I said in my review. And in her review, she says I created damage, me and my entourage, and a whole lot of other stuff. So I asked Airbnb to take it down, but they said no, we can't take it down because it doesn't violate our policies. But you know what, Miss Clark? Your review violates our policies, so we're going to take it down. I was like, you got to be effing kidding me. So let's fast forward. Here I am getting ready to travel to Paris for the Olympics. And guess what? I get denied a rental because of this foolishness, this review that she left me. I had to tell that owner it was a lie, it was a fabrication. I didn't do anything. I am an experienced traveler. Google my name, Google me, and you will see that none of this is true. I lost 5 apartments in Paris during the Olympics. I had to get off of Airbnb and to go to VRBO to get my rental. But that's a whole nother YouTube video to talk about the sex dungeon VRBO video rental that I had. That's a whole nother video. But getting back to Airbnb, I don't want anybody else to ever have to go through what I went through with Airbnb and what I continue to go through. Now, they allowed me to put a rebuttal under her review. So that's fine, right? They allowed me to put a rebuttal on. But it is affecting my ability to get decent rentals on Airbnb. And, my niece asked me, well, why don't you just rent it under Melvin's name? Why don't you just make up a whole new one? Well, I've had this Airbnb profile for 9 years. Why should I have to change, my profile? But it's looking like that's just what I might have to do, right? Because it's affecting me moving forward. So I'm going to technically lose my tenured profile to be able to rent apartments at a decent rate, which I think is just ridiculous. And still, Airbnb cannot see the error in their ways and how their policy and their them saying that it's okay for her to leave a nasty review on me, that they agreed she lied, right? They denied her claim, and they tried to take her booking down, her listing. So all of that is not enough to just remove her review of me. Let's just let it be done. But they won't, right? So, which has led me to have to rent on VRBO. And that's a whole nother situation and a whole nother story for another day. But I just want you all to beware of Airbnb and their nightmare policies. Um, and when it comes to reviews, when it comes to damages, they were saying, well, she asked for it in a proper amount of time. So she told you it took her an extra day to clean it, and she made the claim that night, which was less than 24 hours. So if it was less than 24 hours, how did it take her a whole nother day? That's another lie there and right there. So anyway, so that's my live for today. How to deal with a nightmare situation on Airbnb. Don't let it happen to you. Make sure you take video going in and coming out. Make sure you check the listings, especially when it comes to having to have an additional contract signed upon arrival. If it's not listed in there, you definitely don't have to do it. And don't be afraid to call Airbnb right in their face, or just leave, right? You'll get your money back eventually. I got my money back from Airbnb for that whole rental. I didn't have to pay the claim, but the damage is still done by having that bad review up. So, anyway, I am Disabled Diva Travels. Thank you if you were here for the live, for joining me today. Hello to the future if you're watching it on the replay, and stay tuned for another video on VRBO, because I'm definitely going to talk about that nightmare sex dungeon situation too. All right. Bye bye for now. Thanks.